All right, what is up, my brothers? So in this video, we need to have a little bit of a conversation about inviting the right or wrong kinds of women into your life. And it often starts with the first date. Let me explain. I've got this longer-term coaching client. He's going through a divorce right now. He's worth about 8 figures, very successful dude, has had several exits, blah, 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 all that stuff. But he is trying to get his head squared away on how he got stuck having to untie the knot with a very, very, very difficult woman. And we were talking about the engagement ring, which I thought was an interesting conversation, which I'll bring you guys back to the first date in just a moment. But she made it clear that she would not marry him if he didn't buy her at least an 8-carat diamond engagement ring. She had specific cut and all this sort of stuff incorporated into it. It's basically, well, Becky got this ring, so if you don't buy me this ring, then you don't love me and you're broke, and this sort of narrative. Now, this guy's gone through some lengthy self-work, internal work, if I can put it that way, and he's a lot better. Like, he's in a much better place today. But the reason why we're having this conversation around the engagement ring is the ring doesn't really matter at the end of the day, okay? If a woman is truly into you, like head over heels, she's got genuine burning desire, as I describe in chapter 3 of my book, The Unplugged Alpha. It doesn't matter if it's an 8-carat, if it's a 5-carat, if it's a 3-carat. It really doesn't matter to women that are down with you. When women make specific demands around things like the size of the engagement ring, that's problematic. To me, that would be you know what, like, we're done here. We're not doing this. We're not playing that game. This isn't about love for you, blah, 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 sort of thing. Now, I asked him, I said, let me ask you a question. On the first date, did she insist that you do something like, take her out to dinner, not just something simple like drinks? And he's like, yeah, how did you know? So, let me tie you guys back into the first date and why I'm making this video, because there's a lot of junk out there right now, these TikTok professionals, these high, elegant lady dating sort of YouTube channels. We've seen them. I've talked to them about them randomly during some of my casts before, where they're like, this is how you become an elegant woman, and you don't go out with guys if they don't buy you dinner on the first date, because guys that buy you dinner on the first date are the guys that have the kind of money and lifestyle that will give you what you want. You can have the Range Rover. And these guys, if they just want to buy you drinks or a coffee, are really just broke and they don't have any money. Well, I'm going to tell you something. I spun a lot of plates, did a lot of dating. I'm sitting here in my McLaren. I clearly don't have a problem with money, but I would never take a chick out for dinner on the first date. Okay? I'm going to tell you why. These chicks that demand, I only go out with guys if you're going to take me out to a nice restaurant, if you're only going to show me that, you're long-term type of material and blah, blah, blah. Okay? If she's going to start the relationship, the dating aspect of that game on that foot, where I'm going to dictate to you what we're going to do for dinner, or what we're going to do on the date, where we're going to go for dinner, what we're going to have for dinner, what's going to be ordered on the menu, and all this sort of stuff. Oh man, you are starting off at a very, very bad place with a potentially very, very difficult and ultimately dangerous woman, if she's the wrong one that you're going to invite into your life on a long-term basis and have a family with and stuff. So to all those guys out there that are like, oh, but these women are demanding, dinner, so I got to take them out for dinner. No, you don't. You actually have the capacity to say no. You actually have the ability to frame some boundary and say, no, I've only got an hour window. What I'd like to do is I'm going to go for a hike on Thursday at this time, and I'm going to pick you up. We're going to grab a warm drink, maybe Starbucks or something. We're going to go for a stroll in the woods, and we're going to, chop it up and see how things are. We'll go for a stroll in the park or whatever it happens to be. That would be my pretty much go to, for the most part, first date. I like that for a bunch of reasons. One, she's not sitting down. She's going to wear something comfortable, usually yoga pants. You can check her out a little bit, moving around and sort of thing. And you always have a good conversation. It's especially advantageous if you're a taller guy, because you're standing up for the entire date. So she has to look up to you, right? I'm that guy, so that's the way that I roll those things. Now, others will say, oh, you got to do dinner, you got to sit down. It's look, you can do whatever you want at the end of the day. You can decide to do whatever you want. But what I'm telling you is, this is what I've noticed works. This is something that is going to, a lot of guys use the term gold digger. This is something that's going to weed out some of those gold digging type of chicks that are going to try to run your life or tell you how things need to be and when you're going to date and where you're going to date and what you're going to eat and, you know, what she's going to order off the menu. I've even seen some of these like women on these videos and stuff say things like, and when you go out for dinner with them, you have to make sure you order the most expensive thing to see how he reacts to it, sort of thing. It's like, the games are always going to be endless when you're a guy. It's just something that you're going to have to play. I get it. You like women. Women are pretty. They smell nice, whatever. Fine. But at the end of the day, make sure that the way that the relationship starts is always on your terms. Whether it's the dating part of the relationship, where you're going to go for the date, whether it's the engagement part of the deal, if you plan on getting married and having kids, if that's your shtick, if that's really what you want to do, if you want to dig a little deeper into that and understand why I don't encourage guys to get married anymore. There's an entire chapter on that in my book. But the relationship needs to start on your terms, because whenever a relationship ends, it's almost always on her turn. Women untie the knot about 8 out of 10 times when it comes to marriages. Men tolerate a ton of shit. Women, 8 out of 10 times are like, I'm out. And it's easy for them. They've got great family law, protecting their interests. They'll make sure that they're well looked after. If there's kids, she's probably going to get custody. So that's why when I'm telling you guys, if you're going to invite a woman in your life, if you're going to date her, I mean, if it's anything that's going to be dealing with more than just one date or something like that, you probably want to start it from the position of, I'm very busy, which you should be if you're a guy chasing excellence, not women. I'm very busy. I've got a window on this day. Let's go for a stroll in the park. We're going to grab a warm drink. We got about an hour, hour and a half, maybe 90 minutes sort of thing, you know, to chat it up sort of thing. That's all it is. It's a sniff test. That's what the first date is. It's a sniff test. You go out, you sniff her out, you dig her vibe, does she dig your vibe, you set up the next date from there. It's not wine her and dine her and do all this stuff and, you know, pick her up. Like, I wouldn't even pick up a chick on a first date in a car like this, okay? You don't do those sorts of things in my estimation. It's just check her out, see what she's all about, see what she's made of, kind of size her up. Does she dig your vibe? Does she find you captivating? You know, is the conversation strong? That's all it is. I mean, I could go right down this rabbit hole for about an hour or two. I'm not going to do that. What I wanted to do is sort of summarize this incredibly important point, because I see a lot of guys make the mistake where it's like, well, she wouldn't go out with me if I wouldn't take her out for dinner, so I had to do it. It's like, no, you didn't. Well, what if she says no, Rich? Good, so you don't go out with her. Then you've just saved your time and your efforts and resources dealing with some chick that's potentially going to make your life a nightmare later on down the road. Deal with the chick that's like, yeah, I'd be happy to go for a stroll in a park with you. Deal with the chick that's like, yeah, I'm totally down for a coffee, or I'm down for a cocktail, you know, at 8 o'clock tonight or something like that. Making a 2-3 hour commitment with a chick that you've never met before in many cases, because most of you guys are using online dating right now for the most part. You don't do cold approach or talk to pretty women when you're kind of going about your life. That's how most guys seem to do it now. Then you go and make that long-term commitment, potentially sitting down with a miserable woman, you know, who's going to rob you of a couple $100. And what do you get out of it? A little bit of frustration. What does she get out of it? A nice meal, maybe a couple of Instagram pictures for her food vlog or whatever. And there you are. You know, it's like, is that really how you want to spend your dating time? Guys, I'm telling you, all these miserable chicks, and you're going to get them more and more as you get older too, by the way. Like, as they get past their 30, 35 year, you know, sort of line in the sand, they're going to start to be more demanding of things like this. And I'll tell you something, they weren't demanding like that in their 20s. They would definitely go out for just a coffee, or they would definitely, you know, not make such stringent requirements and be a little bit more agreeable. It's just that, you know, when women start to get older, or if they start to consume these, you know, how to be an elegant woman vlog, you know, vlogger channels, that's when they really start to bust your chops. Anyway, you guys let me know what you think. I'm pretty firm on this. Leave a comment below, pinned in the top comment. There's a bunch of useful links that you should definitely check out for my book, my community, my podcast, all that good stuff, my website. Leave a like, a thumbs up for the algorithm, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.